Maayong gabi sa tanan. Magandang gabi. Sawadika. Xin chào. It is my great joy and pleasure to welcome all of you, Assumption friends, lay partners and collaborators, sisters, participants to our third National Assumption Together Congress here in Iloilo. If you have read the pamphlet that is in your bag, it says that Assumption Iloilo is now actually the oldest existing Assumption community in Southeast Asia. 100 years old to date. Assumption Iloilo is also the place where most of our vocations have been nurtured and grown. I think more than half. And we hope that more vocations will grow from this place, as we also hope that it will be the same for our other communities, 16 communities in Southeast Asia province. Assumption Together. Marie Eugenie in 1841, in explaining the congregation to the Archbishop of Paris, proclaims. By the way, in Paris, in France, although tomorrow we will celebrate her birthday, but usually it's celebrated on August 25. So it is her 199th birthday today. So when she was asked to explain what the congregation was all about, Marie Eugenie said, "It is fire, passion, and ardent love for the church and his society that has given birth to this work, the work and mission of the Assumption. It is this fire and zeal and love that was planted and embraced in her heart and that of our first founding mothers that enable them to dare to found communities, to undertake the mission of transformative education, to be with and for the young, and the young at heart. And now we find ourselves in 4 continents and 33 countries. It is the same fire that led our congregation to undertake the discernment and welcome the gift of the fusion with the sisters of the Augustinians of Notre Dame of Paris to our own congregation, the Religious of the Assumption. And this was a gift that we received last August 11th. It is the same zeal that made her commission some sisters in Spain to cross the seas and come to the Far East, and that was in 1892. And the rest is history. And today, it is the same fire and ardent love that has made Assumption Together not only a reality, but a way of being, of living, of serving, and of becoming the people that God wants us to be. It is the fruit of this legacy that we have come together and have gathered today until the 28th of this month as Assumption Together of the province of Southeast Asia, growing, expanding, embracing for fuller life, for deeper communion with God, with one another, with the whole of humanity, and all of creation. At this point, I would like to invite you to watch the video, and this video was prepared by our junior sisters with Sister Rejovic, and it was put into video form by the Marie Eugenie Theater of the Assumption that speaks of our journey, then, today, and the rest later that will follow will also speak of what the future will be. And we hope that these 3 days of our coming together will be meaningful, fruitful, and will enable us to connect with more people, not only in the Assumption, but beyond our borders. Thank you and welcome.
February 22, 2014. To the Sisters of Vietnam, Thailand, and the Philippines. The General Plenary Council unanimously approved the birth of a new province that will unite you. Province of Southeast Asia is your name.
Thus, we came together from our three countries to gather for a first provincial assembly and for common formation in May 2014. We came with our unique histories. In 1892, at the request of the Queen Regent of Spain, Mother Marie Eugenie sent a group of religious of the Assumption to Manila. They are to found the first superior normal school for women teachers, to train and to graduate teachers for the primary schools for girls in the Philippines. Today, there are 13 communities in the country, 8 in the island of Luzon, 2 in the Visayas, and 3 in Mindanao. Baguio, a Sabbath place for retreatants and for those who seek spiritual accompaniment. St. Martin's School serving children of indigenous communities. San Simon, a complete basic education favoring the poor of the surrounding villages and towns. Antipolo, complete basic education with senior high school serving fast developing areas of Rizal Province. A retreat house, a center for service and sharing, and an eco park. San Lorenzo, complete basic education with senior high school and tertiary level education with graduate and undergraduate degrees. This year, San Lorenzo will open a center for women leaders. Cana and Emmaus communities contribute to the animation of the school apostolate. Malibay, San Juan de Pomoceno School at the service of the children of poor families in pastoral work. Iloilo, complete basic education with senior high school, Center for Consolidation of Assumption Iloilo, Pasig, and Barrio Obrero. Antique, Santa Rita Academy, a grade school for children of Sibalom. Last 2015 saw the soft opening of a youth formation center in San Jose. Cagayan de Oro in Mindanao, campus ministry in Xavier University serving various groups of young people, including Muslim and indigenous youth. Couswagan, St. Vincent Academy, a high school for Christian and Muslim youth, a peace sanctuary in the midst of war-torn villages. Kibangay, Xavier de Kibangay, a high school for indigenous young people of Bukidnon. House of Formation in Quezon City, the novitiate for our three countries. The Provincialate in Mandaluyong. The Provincial Community Formation Center in San Lorenzo, housing all provincial offices and serving as a common place for formation for Assumption together.
In 1980, in response to the call of the Asian Mission Congress, the first Assumption community came to Thailand. The General Council said,
"It is with great joy that we welcome the foundation, a sign of hope which concretizes the desire to share our faith."
Today, 36 years later, we are in the Louis Province, northeast of Thailand. St. John's School in Tabong serves around 300 high school students from 60 villages, some Christians and the majority Buddhists. We are also a welcoming community for those interested in religious life. At present, 5 young women are living with us, with 9 more coming next year.
September 1994, the first Assumption community was established in Ho Chi Minh City. This act is the fruit of years of hoping and preparing. In the 70s, a young Vietnamese priest attracted to our charism of education, deeply rooted in a strong contemplative life, asked Mother Marie Denise for Assumption presence in his country. Mother Helen Marie, the next Superior General, gathered the first community of Vietnamese and European sisters in Hotel. The fall of Saigon in 1975 prevented the foundation. It was not until 1989 that the moment came to think about the foundation again. Sister Claire Teresa recognized it was time to try again. Visits, new contacts, regular gathering of possible vocations led to more serious preparations for Assumption presence in Vietnam. Today, Assumption is present in two communities. Le Van Si in Ho Chi Minh City, a house of formation, welcome, and serving Hoa Tin Thuong, a preschool in Bui Pat Parish. Sisters and candidates teach catechism in the parishes of One Shuai and Bui Pat. Honai in Bien Hoa City, a house of formation for first-year postulants, teaching in St. Joseph Charity School.
February 2016. The first provincial chapter of the province of Southeast Asia gathered 51 religious and lay delegates to reread our life and mission and plan the next 2 years. Focusing on common formation for sisters and lay partners, spiritual animation and accompaniment, concerns on ecology and migration, and customized vocation promotion.
Conscious of our new identity as Assumption Southeast Asia Province at the threshold, we welcome emerging realities that call us to expand our awareness and embrace new ways of evangelizing today.
Good evening. I'm Anna Valdez Lim from Assumption San Lorenzo, your MC. Let us welcome our lay provincial representative, outgoing, who has served from 2007 to 2016 for 9 years, Maria Lourdes Baby Herrera.
Good evening. It's so nice to be with you here tonight, all of you, as we start our third National Congress of Assumption together, our very first as province of Southeast Asia. And with that, I'd like to welcome and acknowledge those who have flown in from Vietnam, our delegates from Vietnam. Please rise. You will get to know them more in the coming days. And our delegates also who flew in from Thailand. Thank you for flying in to join us for this weekend. And I'd like to acknowledge, of course, the delegates from the different parts of our country, from Baguio, there behind, from San Simon, Assumption Antipolo, our novitiate, Malibay, and our nanays from Imus, and of course Assumption San Lorenzo, our biggest delegation. From the Basic Education Division, the Higher Education Division, from Cana and from Emmaus. and our host from Iloilo, delegates from Pasig, Barrio Obrero, and of course, Ibalong. And far down south from Kibangay, Klaus Wagan, Cagayan de Oro. And from Boni, Bacolod, yes, we have special guests from Bacolod. And Cebu. Too bad our partners from Davao did not come. And Alabang Clay. We are all very happy that you are with us tonight, and we look forward to the next 3 days, and it's going to be very exciting. But I have decided to present my 9-year report in a video form. Thanks to Joseph of the Marie Eugenie Theater of the Assumption for helping me out with this. I will take you back to 2007 when we started the 9-year journey as Assumption together. For those of you who have been with us from the start, this is a nice way to revisit our past and where we got our strength. And for those of you who have just joined us lately, I'm getting emotional. It's a way for us to share with you where we came from, the 9 years that we have worked hard together and journeyed as a country together.
Assumption Together is a gift, a treasure. It has generated a lot of life for the province and allows life in the province to flow.
When I was elected as the first provincial lay representative of the Philippines-Thailand province in 2007, I did not quite understand or realize the scope and responsibility of this new position. There were only around 15 of us serving in the same capacity in other Assumption provinces around the world. I was already then the Assumption Alumni Association President and Vice President for Administration in the San Lorenzo School, as well as co-chair of the Canonization Committee. Little did I know that carrying these 4 hats had a greater purpose in helping me fulfill yet another mission. After the canonization of our very own Saint Marie Eugenie in Rome on June 3rd, 2007, Sister Marjo, then our provincial superior, and I went around the province to celebrate the canonization, which the different communities did in their unique and very special ways. From Thailand to places like Isabela and Davao, where we do not have a community, there was only one message: that Marie Eugenie was no longer ours alone, but a gift to be shared with the world.
I'm very happy that she became a saint, and that after I can study well, after I pray for her, and also I can pray for other people.
The special grace of the canonization fueled the fire that attracted those called by Marie Eugenie to serve in the provincial lay team. Beth Anievas, Gina Bautista, Ana Casas, Mary Rose Damaso, Meli Diaz, Pati Gallardo, Ave Ignacio, Ubut Neri, Ines Polotan, Marilyn Reambilio, Ning Rojas, Chinit Rufino, who was then co-chair of the Marie Eugenie Institute, Gamay Solis, Rosie Sunyu, Cory Villafania, and of course Sister Reggie Vic as our inspiration and partner. Still remains a mystery up to this day. We were all called from different sectors, and we all responded with our big yes. And today, we are still together, stronger and more alive in the spirit. When we launched the formal organization of Assumption Together in 2008, Sister Marjo, our then Provincial Superior, said,
"We are building on what our predecessors have begun, and we are fortunate and privileged to be living Assumption Together, a religious partnership at this time, at this stage of where it is. It certainly is enriching both of us, it's enriching the Assumption, and I think it's opening us to so much more than we ever expected it to be. Now there really is no way of doing Assumption unless it's done together."
Indeed, we have grown in leaps and bounds and have a very colorful story to tell, having gone through two very successful congresses in 2010 and 2013, which I would like to revisit. In preparation for the 2010 Congress, we felt that the first thing we needed to do was to make sure that all groups of Assumption Together were on the same level of spirituality. Hence, the Marie Eugenie Institute created 3 spirituality modules on the teachings of Marie Eugenie: knowledge and love of Jesus Christ, humility, and joyful detachment. The provincial lay team conducted many lay formation sessions all throughout the province, not only in the Assumption communities, but in areas like Davao and Dagupan, where there are no sisters. This prepared the lay delegates from the province for the first Assumption Together National Congress. Held on January 29 to 31, 2010 in San Lorenzo, our Congress theme was Extending the Reign of God, with no less than Sister Diana Waters and her entire General Council as our special guests. Our Congress logo was inspired by the Unity Dance in the Cordilleras, where strips of ethnic woven cloth representing each tribe are woven around a unity pole. The Assumption Together logo is multicolored, symbolizing lay religious partnerships coming from many cultures, faiths, and vocations, working together in diverse patterns towards a common goal. The cross, the star, and the boat represent the 3 loves of Marie Eugenie: Christ, Mary, and the Church. Dr. Pinky Valdez composed the first Assumption Together song, Boat of Many Colors, which reflected our theme.
So when you say Assumption Together, what we're actually saying is we're going back to our source, because that's how we're supposed to be. We are, in fact, one. Not we are supposed to be one. We are one. We just have to be awakened to the fact that we are one. I think that should be very clear. We don't create the oneness. We are one because that is the reality. And when we are awakened to the fact that we are one, then Assumption Together is automatic.
The Congress highlight was the concurrent sessions and workshops on JPCCS, preferential love for the poor, love for the church, and the kingdom in us. In her opening remarks, Sister Diana said,
"What a joy to be with you for the first Congress of Assumption Together since the canonization of Saint Marie Eugenie. We know ourselves by becoming aware of relationships. At the canonization in Rome, many friends of the Assumption became aware that they belonged to a very large international family. They became aware of who they were. Assumption Together is extending the reign of God. You're even going to run for the glory of God."
The 3-day Congress ended with Run Assumption Run, a marathon participated in by the 500 delegates.
This is the way we are, our way of being and doing things, rising together as Assumption Together.
Congress, a group of us, Sister Ana Carmela, Chinit Rufino, Ines Polotan, and myself, attended the first International Assumption Together Congress in Leon, Spain. There, we exchanged best practices and got to know our counterparts in the other Assumption communities around the world. It was an eye-opener for us to realize how big our numbers were in the Philippine Thailand province. We were filled with gratitude for that gift we have and for the life of Assumption Together in our province. The next 2 years saw the echoing of the 2010 Congress and formation sessions throughout the province, successfully growing our Assumption Together numbers and at the same time deepening spirituality among the lay religious parties. In 2011, we focused on becoming persons of communion by looking at the ultimate person of communion, Jesus Christ. We held sessions on Jesus as a person of communion and I as a person of communion. We watched the film Joshua, where the carpenter Joshua brought broken, emotionally scarred, divided individuals together into an intergenerational, interfaith, interracial, intercultural community and built a church, both physically and symbolically. We experienced in our regional assemblies the stories of each community building communion, communicated in a variety of forms, presentations, and symbols. We learned how Marie Eugenie was herself a person of communion, what she gave up and what she kept to herself in order to build community. We learned Marie Eugenie's 8 aspects of love. We went through a series of life paths to communion, which took up these 8 aspects of love in 3 clusters. In 2012, I represented the province at the General Chapter meeting in Paris. Together with my counterparts from 17 provinces, we shared how Assumption Together was being experienced in our parts of the world. It was an overwhelming feeling of grace and blessedness to be with a global family. It was a milestone meeting, as that was the first time that provincial lay representatives actually participated in crafting part of the directions of the chapter, that of Assumption Together. The 2013 Congress in Antipolo had the theme, Listening to God and Life Along the Path of Communion. We had 5 breakout sessions on various topics: ecology and migration, JPCCS, global impact and trends on social networking, and social networking for evangelization. We examined our cup of life on day 1, looking at the past, and having done that, we filled our cup on day 2 with what was new along the themes of ecology, migration, and social networking. On day 3, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle commissioned all of us in the Year of Faith to embrace our times and creatively mobilize our communities to action, to be the new face of evangelization in our times. Our logo for the second National Congress was a cup of life, the 2 colors of the chalice representing the ever-expanding and stronger sister-lay partnership in prayer and mission, flowing from the love of Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. The joy in community is celebrated, marked by the diversity reflected in the many colors and shades of Assumption Together. The Assumption Together theme song was revised by Dr. Pinky Valdez to leave the path we've known and climb the higher road, to forge new directions along the paths of communion, hand in hand in God's loving hands.
It's wine, it's the challenge to be daring.
following of the 2013 Congress indicated a general desire to be empowered. Already, the echoes involved just the topics that resonated with the realities in each community. This was really in line with our objective to allow the communities some autonomy to direct their Assumption Together path. Hence, in 2014, the provincial lay team started searching for a tool or a program that would best respond to the themes of the province and the church while considering the challenge of our being in different geographical locations. After trial and error, we finally agreed that the Liturgical Bible Study, or LBS, was the best tool to respond to the Year of Faith, Year of the Laity, Year of the Poor, and the Year of the Eucharist and Family. Hence, in August of 2015, after the visit of Pope Francis and his call to action, we had the National Liturgical Bible Study Conference, which, as you have now been experiencing, was a success. The ripple effect is being felt, and we have touched and transformed the basic unit, which is the family, with the Liturgical Bible Study. The Community of Lay Assumption, or CLAY, held its National Assembly in January 2014, where the CLAY norms were ratified. This is the CLAY Way of Life, which outlines the way CLAY is now governed and managed. CLAY has grown to 8 communities: San Lorenzo, Alabang, Malibay, Antipolo, San Simon, Cebu, Iloilo, and Antique. Pasig is starting as an aspirant CLAY community. In 2015, CLAY San Lorenzo launched the very first CLAY Youth with over 20 members who are now very active. The lay team, together with many of our sisters, participated in the awakening sessions conducted by Ana Valdez-Lim. Indeed, the past 9 years have seen the tremendous growth of Assumption Together, not only in our part of the world, where we were Philippines, Thailand province, and now the province of Southeast Asia with Vietnam, but also in the other parts of the world, from Africa, Europe, North and South America. Assumption Together is growing and is very much alive today. Saint Marie Eugenie said, "Nothing remains but love." It is my love for Assumption that has made me get on my feet and follow the path to serve. I am very happy and grateful that I was given that chance. I would like to close by reiterating the reality that Sister Marja said in 2007, that we can no longer talk of Assumption unless it is Assumption Together. Indeed, so much has happened, really. And at this point, I'd like to call on my successor, who was just elected as our new provincial lay representative last February during the provincial chapter, Ms. Chinny Trufino. I would like to hand over to Chinit a special scroll, which Sister Cheryl will bring up. Thanks to Sister Rose Peter and Mary Diaz for making this a reality. As we unfurl the scroll, I'd like to say that the scroll contains symbols of our life in the past 9 years as Assumption Together. We started our life with the canonization. The logo there is the star representing Mary, the cross representing Jesus Christ, and the boat representing the church. And as you noticed, we've carried the 3 symbols through the next Congress. The first Assumption Together Congress in 2010 had the 3 symbols, the star, the cross, and the boat. We were then a boat of many colors, and we moved in and grew to 2013, where we became a cup of life, and we still retained the cross, the star, and the boat as really our source of life and the spirit that really drives us all. And today, we start our new Congress 2013 with another logo that still has the star, the cross, and the boat. And now we are all going to experience, expand, and embrace as we enrich ourselves in a new life as the province of Southeast Asia. And this we look forward to in the coming 3 days. Again, I'd like to thank all of you who have been with us through the past 9 years, who grew with us through all the pains, the challenges, the sisters especially who have really supported Assumption Together. And for those of you who have joined us in the recent years, we hope you will really find the spirit to stay and grow Assumption Together more deeply. I am very confident that Chinit will be able to continue and bring this legacy of Assumption Together to greater heights and depths as we live communion for the greater glory of God. Thank you very much.
Okay, good evening. Thank you, baby, for that review. It has been a beautiful 9 years. And where we are today is truly at the threshold. It's a threshold that is still unknown. We still don't really know, but our beautiful logo will speak of how we are, province of Southeast Asia today. Baby has repeated it quite often, so we have there the religious of the Assumption, without whom none of this would be happening, right? So let's give them a big hand. And of course, they were anchored on Marie Eugenie's teachings on the church. So let's give the church a big hand too. The star in our Philippine flag. Beautiful beginnings, 100 years old or more, I think, from 106. Okay, 106 years old. And going strong, the Philippines. And our sisters in Thailand for the orange elephant and the lotus of Vietnam. Very colorful and beautiful. You know, to put up a Congress like this requires a lot of work. And I'd like to give you an idea of how much or how many people contributed to make the next 3 days happen. So let me call our ever-efficient brow master, Ms. Ines Polotan, Chairman of the Congress. She will introduce to you all the teams that made this today and the next few days happen.
Good evening. Yes, organizing this was very difficult, very challenging because we had to do it remotely. And so I would like to call the people who, my partners in organizing this and making this a success. I would like to call them and please come forward. So first, the PLT team, the Provincial A team, please come forward. Many of you know Ave, for she's the one who communicated with you. She was our frontliner, and of course, my partner, Patty, and everyone else here. Please, come. This is our provincial lead team. Of course, this will not happen without our Iloilo partners. So may I call the Iloilo team? Sister Jo, my new phone pal every day. We talk to each other. Maricris, please come forward. Sister RMR. And all our Ricky, our Magic 10. The Magic 10. Yes, thank you, Provincial League team. You may go back. So where are the others? Okay, the others are working. They are preparing our dinner. They are preparing our rooms. Okay, and then of course Meta. Anna, thank you so much for your help. Joseph and all our actors. Anjo, yes. Thank you. Please stand. And of course, for the support of Provincial Council, Sister Cheryl and her councilors. Thank you for the budget. And of course, all the superiors of our communities, please stand. Thank you for the support. Thank you for responding to our emails, to our text messages. Thank you so much.
Okay, what will the next 3 days be like for us? We would like to present the theme, but I'd like to propose that the theme will not really be the words that we have expressed our objectives, okay? We want to introduce a new language to this Congress, okay? And so this language is a very colorful language. It's a free-feeling spirit, okay? So I want you to keep this image very much alive in your minds and in your hearts in the next 3 days. We want it to be colorful. We want it to be flowing. And so our theme has got to be something that is a recurring thought and feeling throughout the times that we will be together. There has been a lot of planning that will go into the next 2 days or 3 days that are going to come. But grab it and hold it close to your heart when you get a nice feeling or a nice idea. Hold it there and keep it. Let it flow, okay? Let it flow within and let it speak to you. Because we want to really be one assumption in the way we think, in the way we act, and in the things that we do. We should reflect one assumption. And one assumption gathers all of us together in this room and all the communities that you are representing. Why? Because we want you to experience new ways for new life in the province. We want you to be able to expand your hearts and your minds and be aware of emerging realities that are confronting us very much every day. These realities are migration, ecology, and religious harmony. This will be the 3 main topics that we are going to discuss seriously, think, and reflect on in the next coming days. Okay? One day, I was at prayer, and I have this small prayer book that the sisters gave me for Christmas. And every day, there's a little portion that Pope Francis is talking about on family. And on that particular day, I woke up and I was beginning to think about what we were going to do in the Congress. And we had come from the chapter and we were talking a lot about cultural intelligence. Cultural intelligence brings about a new understanding, an opening of the mind and an understanding of how our brothers in Thailand and in Vietnam and vice versa, they need to also understand us and how we think and how we do things here in the Philippines. So the interchange really begins with an understanding, partially of the language, partially of the way things are done. But overall, I came across this where Pope Francis was talking about a culture of encounter. And so we were discussing this, Bubot and I were discussing this. And she said, yeah, but Chinit, it all begins first with an understanding in the mind before we can actually do an encounter. So it's a synergistic movement of cultural intelligence and a culture of encounter. For this particular Congress, however, I really feel pushed, literally, to allow us to enter into encountering each other. This is not an easy task to perform and have delegates from all over come. So I would really like to ask you to go out of your way to sit with whoever you still have not met or do not know so well. We have many times that we will have meals. We have breakfast, we have merienda, we have lunch, another merienda, a dinner. We've got 5 times of the time to talk together and be with each other. Don't group yourself with the same people all the time. Make it a point to sit with someone you do not know. Encounter them in the unknown and discover how nice it is to get to know someone who began today and you see and he goes, I don't know. And yet at the end of the 3 days, you hug and embrace like you knew each other for so long. So that's the culture of encounter. And I'd like to show a little bit of what Pope Francis is inviting us. We are invited to a change of attitude towards migrants and refugees. Pope Francis says this is so much needed on the part of everyone, moving away from defensiveness and fear, indifference and marginalization, towards attitudes based on a culture of encounter, the only culture capable of building a more just and fraternal world. The encounter, the getting to know, the getting to understand, and yes, the capacity to be able to extend oneself in love, in forgiveness, in mercy, and in understanding. So how are we going to be able to create a community with a culture of encounter? How? Let's be aware of the other. In these next 3 days, let's be aware of the other. Let's be loving in our ways of reaching out and doing. Make a determination to make a difference. Inclusive in our planning. And responsive to the ecological challenges facing us today. And this does not happen only in the next 3 days, my dear friends. This will happen when you go home to your communities and you begin to make this a reality in your community. Very early when I surprised that I was made provincial lay representative during the chapter, I was asking Baby. I said, Baby, what did you have in mind when you started Assumption Together? And she says, from the spirit of the canonization, we wanted Assumption Together to really see the blessing and the grace of having Marie Eugenie teach us a beautiful way of being able to serve our fellow men and Jesus and the kingdom of God in our everyday world. And so she said, well, actually that can be done only as we enter more and more into understanding her spirituality. And so what happened was, I realized that while we can gather together like this in congresses, now, here, today, the reason she asked us to have it here in Iloilo is to symbolize a new way. And this new way is to regionalize the activities. We need to bring it down now from congresses to regional level. So we are hoping that through this Congress, we will be able to make that happen. So we don't know if there will be other Congresses yet necessary, or if we could first build regional. Luzon, the Visayas, Mindanao. Let's strengthen that regional presence and that consciousness of this culture of encounter. And then let's see, after Sister said, Chinit, you're only going to 2 more years only. 2 years. That's what we have. That's my mandate. I have 2 years to make the regionalization happen. So are you with me? Yes. Okay. So we're ready for the work tomorrow? Yes. And the next day? Yes. So that on Sunday when we go home, we are regionalized. Yeah? Okay. And so I invite you now quickly, just quietly, to dwell on the invitation that Jesus is extending to us today. And He invites us, come, see, taste the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. It is here, there where our feet carry us, there where our hearts take us, there where our minds enrich us with zeal and purpose. Let us taste that goodness of the Lord. Let us see it in our brothers. Let us see it in each other. Let us see it in ourselves. And as He invites us to be there in the land of the living, we want to live a little quiet, just to savor where He speaks at best, deep, there inside our very heart.